Hi guys, my name is John and you're listening to the Tech Leader Pro podcast. It is week 29 of 2024, Sunday the 21st of July. You're very welcome. I've hope you had a nice weekend so far. I like the good folks who work at CrowdStrike, and this week I'll be doing a deep dive into the CrowdStrike outage to provide you with a summary of this global issue. So let's get started. So last Friday, the business world woke up to the news that CrowdStrike, a large cybersecurity firm who provide products widely used by many businesses, had released a software update that had disabled many Windows-based computers globally. CrowdStrike is a large company with some 8,000 employees, with their headquarters in Austin, in Texas. They were founded in 2011, and the main area of expertise is providing what's called endpoint security. In plain English, that means running security software like virus detection on local machines, including Windows-based PCs. And if you want to learn more about the company, I will provide links in the show notes for this episode, available on my website, techleader.pro. So last week, on Friday the 19th of July, CrowdStrike released a software update for their vulnerability scanner called Falcon Sensor. A bug in that update caused Windows PCs running it to experience what's called a blue screen of death, or BSOD, on startup, which effectively disabled the computers as they could not start up normally. As this update was sent out over the internet to a huge amount of customers running Falcon Sensor, the impact was felt globally and many industries were impacted. Many airline flights were cancelled, banking and healthcare services were impacted, and even 911 call centers were impacted. By the end of trading on Friday, CrowdStrike shares were down 11%. When you think about how widespread the usage of Windows is in the corporate world, we are very vulnerable to these kinds of supply chain issues. Technologies such as CI/CD make the delivery of software to remote machines very efficient, even if that software contains damaging bugs. While CrowdStrike has yet to publish a full root cause analysis, or RCA, they did publish some technical details on their blog on July 20th, including links to workaround steps for impacted computers. And I'll link to that technical note from the show notes for this entry also. There they mentioned it was a bad configuration issue that impacted on sensor, rather than bad code. The workaround involves starting the impacted Windows PCs in safe mode, and then finding and manually deleting the bad file from the update. That sounds okay in theory, but what if an organization has tens of thousands of such PCs that require this manual workaround? The problem is the delivery mechanism for the initial update, namely the PC having an internet connection in order to receive it, could not be used to deliver the fix, as those PCs were now offline. They were effectively bricked because when you tried to start them up, you got that blue screen of death. So there was no way to automatically push out the update in bulk. It had to be done manually one by one, which is obviously very expensive and time consuming for the organizations that were impacted. CrowdStrike concluded their blog entry from the 20th of July by stating the following, quote, "We understand how this issue occurred, and we are doing a thorough root cause analysis to determine how this logic flaw occurred. This effort will be ongoing. We are committed to identifying any foundational or workflow improvements that can be made to strengthen our process. We will publish our findings in the root cause analysis as the investigation progresses." End quote. So my reading of that is they're acknowledging that there may be an issue with their processes in terms of how they do release management, and I would also suspect their QA processes or quality assurance. It's interesting as well that they're delaying the release of the root cause analysis so far. I have to suspect that they already know what the root cause is, but perhaps they're waiting until, some of the media attention that they're currently under starts to wane so they can, quietly release that in a few weeks. At the end of the day, they're a public company, however, so they will have to release it because, they have compliance that they need to meet and so on in terms of what they say to the market, because this has already impacted on their share price, so they have to be very careful about being open and being honest, and I'm sure they're scrambling internally to make sure that they get the messaging on this just right. and they try to reassure their customers that they are going to learn from this, and hopefully this will never happen again. So I will look forward to reading the final root cause analysis when they publish it. And I do have sympathy. Anyone who's worked in software engineering knows that things go wrong. And it's very rare that, when it goes wrong, that the impact is so global, so widespread, and so covered in the mainstream media. So there's a lot of heat on those guys, and I do have some sympathy for them right now. I would suspect historically this will go down as being one of the largest IT outages of all time. It reminds me of the Y2K threat, but that was mitigated successfully due to advance warning. Back in the 90s, we knew that the year 2000 was coming, and we knew exactly when we had to have all the software patched before, that date hit. But this time, there was no warning. We all woke up on Friday, and if you work in any large organization, your inbox was full, and there was a lot of people who literally were dead in the water. They couldn't even log in on their corporate machines that day, and they were joining calls using their cell phones and so on because the Windows machines just simply wouldn't start. So yeah, Friday was interesting. I'm sure for many organizations, and I'm hoping that we can learn from this as an industry, because it was really damaging, not just for the company in question, but I think also for the whole industry. That sometimes I think, frankly speaking, software is a bit of a cowboy industry, and I think this didn't do any good in terms of improving our image with the rest of the world, that we actually are in control of how we do things, and it just left a bad taste, I'd say, for a lot of people. So fingers crossed, this will be the last one of these big blowouts that we have for quite some time. And I wish the guys at CrowdStrike well, especially the engineers who I'm sure had to work through the weekend and had to work late on trying to resolve this. So yeah, thinking about you guys. So apart from that, what else did I do this week? I spent a bit of time doing some Linux sysadmin this week, and one of the things that I spent some time on was an old MySQL instance that I have that's been running since 2016. I was starting to get some alerts that the hard drive was actually filling up. At one point it was up to 94%, so it's getting quite urgent. And I spent quite a bit of time researching why this hard drive was filling up so much, because the actual databases in the MySQL instance were, relatively small. And I realized that this was due to the fact that it was an old version of MySQL that had binary login for replication switched on. Even though it was a single instance, it wasn't actually doing any replication. It seemed to be switched on by default anyway. I found there was a purge command that I could run to remove these logs, and I went from 94% to 9% full on that hard drive. So if you're listening and you're running MySQL or MariaDB and you find yourself running out of disk space, look into the purge command and look into binary logging, as you may be getting hit with the same issue that I experienced. In terms of media that I'm enjoying this week, I am still reading Aegon Science Fiction Illustrated issue 4. It's good fun. It's an anthology for science fiction, so it's basically short stories, and it's also got some nice illustrations in there as well. So if you like science fiction, I would definitely recommend checking out Aegon. I believe it's up to issue 9 now. I'm on issue 4, so I'm still playing catch up. It's available on Amazon.com, so yeah, would recommend checking it out if you like old school sci-fi. Okay, I will leave it there, guys. I hope you have a nice week ahead. I hope you don't experience any bugs next week in your day job, and I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye bye.